One of the most important things in aqua exercise is to maintain a solid core. You want to tighten stomach muscles, tighten back, and keep it tight the entire time you're doing any exercise. If you recall, we talked about levers when we were inside. The longer the lever, the more resistance you get in the water, the more body that you expose, the more of one limb that you expose to the water, the more resistance you're going to get and the more effective the exercise will be. Hand position. You want to have your palm pushing against the water. The water offers its own resistance. So for strength development, for upping the heart rate, you want to push hard against the water. So when your hand is moving forward, your palm is going to be against the water, be forward. When you turn it and the hand is moving backwards, you're going to push the water backwards. So it's forward and back. So when you are running, it takes a little coordination if you can do it. When your right knee is up, the left hand comes up, and you can see I'm turning over my hands. And my levers are fairly long. So it's very important to think about body position and hand position when you are exercising and keeping the core very, very tight. Your hands can move in like so and out when you're moving in this direction. You seldom bring the hands up above the head, so you will push down in a jumping jack, for example, and then when you are pushing up to the level of the water, your hands will point toward the ceiling and down and up and down and up. You always want to have your head above your shoulders above your hips, and so forth. You want to keep your body in good alignment, and that will help you keep your core very tight and help you keep your muscles moving in the proper directions.
The first piece of equipment is called the aqua jogger, and Deb's going to go ahead and put that on just to show you what it would look like before you would enter the water. One important thing is to remember that you need to put it on and fit it before you actually get in the water. It just makes it a little bit easier instead of having to be wet while you're working with it. But it fits just right below the chest level. You put it snug enough so it doesn't slip around on you, and you can adjust those very easily. One main reason people wear these belts is for buoyancy. It basically allows you to do exercises in the deep end of the pool without having to worry about sinking. The next piece of equipment are buoyant dumbbells, and these can be used in both the shallow or the deep end of the pool. Equipment is basically used for variety. If you're kind of bored with your program, you can add it, but it also is used to add intensity to your exercises. So if you feel like you've made some progress and you need to try something a little more challenging, you can use the buoyant dumbbells. And just using them with simple moves like water walking or water jogging or even cross-country ski like Deb was demonstrating earlier, you can use those dumbbells. And one important thing to remember is that you need to use them below the surface of the water. Basically, the work comes in to where you're working to keep those below the surface because they want to float up. So you work to keep those below the surface. You can use them again with your cardiovascular system and that type of workout, but you can also use them for strengthening exercises as well. One other thing I'll mention just on a side note is a kickboard. We use these a lot in aqua class, and basically you can use them for basic kicking moves, so you can add them to your cardio program. Sometimes, however, in my classes, I have students actually sit on them, and if you kind of hook them behind your knees and hold them under yourself like a seat, you actually can do arm exercises where you pull yourself through the water forwards, and you can also pull backwards. So you can use those just for strictly upper body exercises as well. We're going to demonstrate a few exercises in the water now. The first thing to remember that when you get into a pool, typically the water temperature is a little bit cooler than most people would like, so you need to remember to warm up. Typically what I have my students do when they get in the water is start to jog in place. And we warm up for around 5 to 10 minutes just to get your muscles warm, to get your heart rate up and your blood flowing, and your breathing speeded up so you're ready for that tougher workout down the road. So Deb is demonstrating just a simple jog in place, just like you would jog in place on land, just a very simple exercise. It's important to remember that you need to be moving both of your legs and both of your arms. Sometimes when you get cold, you want to tighten up, but that's the last thing that you'd want to do in the pool. So making sure you have a good range of motion. Again, keeping those palms cupped and moving them back and forth, so you're moving every muscle group that you're going to use. The next exercise is the cross-country ski, and this is where you're going to be using long levers with your legs and your arms, and I'll just demonstrate a little bit here. You're going to be pushing up with your opposite hand, so my left hand is up, my right leg is forward, and then bringing it back just like so. Kicking forward is the next exercise that we'll do. So again, this uses long levers and the principle of opposition. So you will actually kick up into the air. It's different than a cross-country ski because you're going to raise your leg up in the air, and then you'll alternate opposite arm to opposite foot and keep those legs nice and straight as you kick. Jumping jacks is another common exercise that you can do in the water. An important thing to remember is the fact that your arms will never break the surface of the water when you're doing water jumping jacks. So basically, when your legs come out, your arms will come to the surface and then back down. So you just never break the surface of the water, just out and in. Water jogging and water running are typical exercises that you can do in an aqua exercise class as well. Jogging in place is just the same as jogging on land. A variation that you can use with that is a high knee jog, where you're actually jogging but you're raising your knees up a little higher. It's just more pronounced than a regular jog. Another thing you can do with that is speed up your movement. So you're doing your high knee jog, but you're doing it a lot faster than you would normally. It adds just a lot more intensity to the move. Kickboards are another simple piece of equipment that most people would have access to. The first exercise we're going to show with the kickboard is just a simple flutter kick. So Deb's going to be holding the kickboard right in front of her. Her legs are going to be kicking to move her forward, and for a flutter kick, your legs basically move back and forth just like this. When you're doing a flutter kick, it's very important to remember to try to keep your feet below the surface of the water and try not to break the surface. It actually allows your movement to be more efficient and allows more propulsion, allows you to move a lot better and more efficiently. We've moved to the deeper end of the pool, and there are several exercises you can do in deep water. Actually, a lot of the ones we did in the shallow water can also be modified to work in deep water. The first exercise Deb's going to demonstrate is the water jog, and this can be done while you're jogging in place, as she's demonstrating. But you can also add a little more intensity by deciding to move yourself forward or even backwards with a water jog, and you would simply just change the arm movements to pull yourself forward or backwards while your legs are doing a running motion. We can also do some toning exercises along the edge of the pool as long as your pool will accommodate that. The first one Deb's going to do is just a basic abdominal crunch, where you can hook your legs over the edge of the pool and simply curl up while tightening your abdominal muscles. We're in the deep water, so you can do these with a belt around your waist. This exercise is called a push-up, and we're doing it in the deep end of the pool, so wearing a belt will definitely help with this exercise. It does take some strength to be able to do this exercise, so novice exercisers would probably need a few weeks of practice before being able to attempt something like this, but it is strictly an upper body exercise where you're pushing your body up to the surface and then back to the water. When you finish with your main exercise part of your program, you'll always want to remember to cool down. Basically, the importance of cooling down allows your body to go back to a resting state gradually. It will lower your heart rate, lower your breathing rate, and just slow those working muscles back to close to resting. The first exercise that we can do is just a head tilt, where you'll tilt your head to one side and you'll hold for 15 to 30 seconds. And once that time is up, you'll switch to the other side. You always want to make sure that you include both sides when you do flexibility exercises. The next stretching exercise is a across the body stretch, where you basically hold one arm at the wrist and pull it across your body to stretch your shoulder and your tricep muscle. Typically when I stretch with my classes, we'll move from upper body to lower body. So we continue to move down. The next stretch would stretch the upper back. Simply clasping the hands together, bringing them out in front of you, and then you can also tilt your head down. As you do that, that will help the stretch to move a little bit better. Another stretch that you can do is for the chest, where you'll simply grasp the wall of the pool and you'll lean out just a bit, but that will stretch the pectoral muscles. We've done stretches for the upper body, so now we'll move down to the lower body. This next stretch that Deb is demonstrating is done at the side of the pool, where she has both of her hands and her feet fairly close together. She's going to push her body away from the side of the pool to stretch out her lower back and her hamstrings, which are the back of her upper legs. From this stretch, you can easily move into the next position, which will actually stretch your inner thighs. So Deb's going to move her legs apart, and she will lean to one side to stretch the inner thigh, and then once the 15 to 30 seconds is done, she'll move to the opposite side. And from there, we can move into what we call the stork stand. It stretches the quadriceps, which is the front of your upper leg. What you'll do is you'll bring one ankle behind you and you'll grab that ankle with your hand and you'll pull that leg up behind you to stretch your quadricep. Make sure when you do this exercise that you keep your knee close to the midline of your body for proper positioning. Thank you very much for watching this segment on aqua exercise. We hope you learned something fun and interesting, and we sincerely hope that you give this a try to help improve your health and your quality of life.